Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the millennial urge to lay on a pet store shelf and see if someone will adopt you. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Hey, Trevin.
Howdy.
What is your dreadful dilemma this week?
This is actually a very dreadful dilemma.
Uh-oh.
As you guys know, I like to talk about my work sometimes. And something has happened.
Oh, God.
I got moved seats.
Oh.
So they moved me to a window seat now, so I can see all the beauty of the shitty street that I work on.
I was going to say, is it a window with a view?
No, not really. It's the top of the building. But I will say, I no longer work next to the salesman. So this is actually Trevin's Salesman season finale.
Oh, my God. What an end to an era.
It is the end of an era. I now work where all the high seniority people are, so I actually hear people talking about my own department and not sales stuff.
Oh, God.
But I will say, I have been holding on to some salesman stories that I wasn't sure if I was going to tell, but now that I'm moved, I will do it.
Wait, what does moving have to do? Are you just afraid that maybe they'll hear it and then they'll see you? And okay.
I'm afraid it's sort of like I'm out of sight, out of mind now. So there won't be a chance of something like, what's Trevin up do? And look me up and then see that I have a podcast or something.
Okay, yeah. I hear you. When I'm out in public and I'm gossiping with a friend, I feel like I have to look all the way around me at every restaurant. So you're just being safe.
I'm being safe.
Okay.
And I might talk a little shit here, so that's probably why I'm a little worried about this one. So the salesman recently hired a new guy. And I've talked about how odd the salespeople are.
Yes.
And this guy takes the absolute cake. Of course, old white man, like they all are. And he just has this really weird way about him. He was a car salesman.
Oh, golly. Okay.
And then he came to this business, which these are people who, they do more of their selling over the phone. They don't really go in person as much. But this guy on his first day of work, he's a smoker. He takes a smoke break every hour. I understand he's getting a privileged position, but he's taking the privilege day one and rolling with it. He was doing his training. They were getting him set up on his computer. And the whole time they were doing his training, he was on the phone with Google because he has a side business. And he was trying to talk to Google about how to make, when you Google his business, you'll see his 5-star reviews better.
Oh, my God.
And literally, there would be people trying to train him, and they're like, oh, hey, can you come here for a second? And he's like, hold on, I got something going on, and I'll be over there. And it's like, your something going on isn't even the thing you're getting paid to do right now.
What the hell?
He actually tried to turn our company into a client of his.
Wait, what is his side hustle?
Power washing.
Okay.
So he actually did. And sure, some people could be like, wow, what a great salesman. You just got hired from a company and you got them to, hire your company. He power washed the company and he fucked up a couple of the windows. This is in his first week. So then I hear him the next week on calls with other companies. He's trying to hire another company to come fix my company's windows that he messed up. He's like, I'll pay you $200. Come over here and fix these windows. Apparently acid washed or something and it sat within the glass and it made it hard to see out of the glass. I don't really know exactly how it works. Either way, though, it's like, okay, the fact that you even did this is wrong. And then you screwed it up. And
he was the actual one that was doing the power washing. It's not like he has
it's him
employees.
And his son.
Oh, okay. Damn.
There's just such a lack of shame because I heard him explain it to people and he's just like, his window's fucked up and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, but it's your fault.
Right.
You're saying it in a way like you're not to blame here. But he's also just kind of an odd dude and he has some problematic ways about him that when I sat by him, because he was right directly behind me, I was afraid to put on both headphones because I was afraid I might get pulled into HR, be like, hey, did you witness this? Sort of a thing. He's got a bit of a slow way of speaking, kind of creepy.
No, really?
Yeah, I mean, he's an old guy, but he sounds like he kind of fried his brain in the 60s. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. He likes to comment on other men's wives and how beautiful they are. And that weirds me out because we all know how salesmen are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've explained mine. So you would think that this like kind of masculine man way of thinking is just like, quit calling my wife beautiful, I'll punch you in the face,
Right.
sort of a thing. But he would just keep going on and being like, man, you got yourself a beautiful wife. Man, she's a good looking wife. And he did the same thing about the guy's daughter. And that was kind of weird.
Oh, hell no.
And she's like a high school girl. And
come on.
And the dude that he works with is just like, oh, yeah, thanks. And I'm like, how do you even let this guy talk like this?
Ew.
But I will say one of the quirky things about him is he always comes into work and within his first hour at work, he takes a lunch break. And he brings sandwiches. He always brings sandwiches. And he asks everybody around him, hey, you want a sandwich? Hey, you want a sandwich? Hey, you want a sandwich? He just wants to give people a sandwich.
Why?
That's the thing.
And what kind of sandwich is it?
I don't. He always has different kinds of sandwiches.
What the hell?
It was like an egg salad one at one point. And
wait, does he make these himself?
I think his wife does. All I'm saying is I have never met a person who was more adamant of having somebody eat his sandwich. It almost sounds like a weird euphemism for something. It's just like, hey, how about you come over and eat my sandwich? But he always wants everybody to eat his sandwich. And then anytime he gets somebody to say yes, he's like, okay, what do you want? A Coca-Cola, Sprite, what? And it's like he's got a cooler of drinks there too.
So people have eaten it and they've come back to work?
Yeah, the guy who crop dusted me ate one.
Oh.
He said, yeah, I'll have a sandwich. And I'm like, are you serious? I would not eat this guy's sandwich.
And he's asked you directly?
The funny thing is, right before I got moved seats, my partner that I work the closest with, she said, oh, it was really funny you were ignoring him. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, he just kept yelling your name and asking if you wanted a sandwich. And I was like, oh, I was listening to the new Post Malone album. I wasn't paying attention to anything. I wasn't
giving a damn about his sandwiches.
So she said that he was like a broken record, just asking me and saying my name for the longest time until he finally gave up. And he hasn't spoken to me since. And I'm like, oh, does he take it personally that I was ignoring him? Because I had no idea he was even talking to me.
Honestly, Trevin, this is a blessing in disguise.
Actually, that was going to be the last thing I was going to say about him. But this guy is so weird. I'm going to say one more thing.
Okay.
He talks very loudly. He's in a cubicle, and a lot of the people he works with are in offices behind him. So he's not afraid of just leaning back a little bit and being like, hey, what are you doing over there? And like just screaming backwards to try to get people's attention.
Oh my God.
And there's a certain phrase that he likes to use that is incorrect. And he likes to say that if somebody's trying to screw you over in a deal or take advantage of you, he likes to say that they are trying to jack him off. So
no,
he will literally be on the phone with people or like get somebody's information. He's like, oh, hey, this guy just called me about a truck or something. He goes, hey, Bob, is that the guy that tried to jack you off? And he's like yelling that across the whole office.
And people aren't correcting him?
Not one person has tried to correct him.
Like, nah, dude, wasn't trying to jack me off.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's rephrase, please.
Not one person.
This is a very unique breed.
He's a super unique dude.
Wow.
But I won't be sitting next to him anymore. I won't be sitting by my salesmen at all.
Are you going to kind of miss them, maybe?
I think I'll miss the stories.
For the content.
I'll miss hearing them talk about how they get paid more than 3 times what I make and how I feel like they are not at work near as much as I am.
Yeah. Well, I also have a dreadful dilemma this week. And this was so dreadful to me that I decided to write a poem about it.
Oh, hail.
So here we go. My Amazon package has been delayed. For my weary heart, there is no aid. What started as a Prime 2-day shipment ended up as a big old disappointment. Oh, where can my package be? Arizona? Maine? Or Tennessee? Wherever you are, package, hurry home. Without you, I feel so alone.
Oh my God. That was beautiful. And I think a lot of us can really relate to that.
I mean, if you can, not, good for you, because maybe you aren't shopping on Amazon.
Yeah.
But if you can relate, then welcome. Since I wrote this poem, my package was delivered.
Oh, good.
But it is honestly so sad when a package is delayed. No? Am I the only one? Like, do you feel this way?
Well, especially if you paid, well, you don't really pay for Prime anymore. Well,
Yeah.
you do pay for Prime, but you know what I mean? You're not paying extra for the 2-day.
Exactly.
We are so spoiled as people to get the 2 days so often now that anytime something takes longer than 2 days.
Oh, God, yeah. Anything over 2 days, it's like, what? Where are you shipping it from? Across the world? And it's like, it's just normal people with normal budgets that doesn't have robots doing the work for them.
We're turning into our parents. Like,
yeah.
Our version of, oh, what are you shipping it across the world is the same as our parents back in the day at a slow restaurant saying, what are you doing? Killing the cow?
We are.
So tell me, was this a very important thing or were you just sad that it was delayed? Like, did you need this right away?
It was actually an outfit that I've worn that Emily complimented. It was that really comfy matching shirt and shorts set. And it was the first cozy little outfit that I could wear both at my house and out that I got on Amazon. And I was so excited. I don't buy myself clothes, really. It's very, very rare. I rewear things a lot. And this was an inexpensive little cozy set, but I was so excited to wear it, and it just was delayed. But I've worn it since. I actually wore it on family vacation. So my picture with Abe, I am wearing it. So it was delivered, but it was heartbreaking.
I totally get that. I think maybe Emily said this a long time ago, back before we got our mental health better in check. I think one of us had said something like, I don't have anything ordered for a while. I guess I have nothing to look forward to. And I was like, oh my God, we got to change the way we think or something. Like, this isn't the way to be.
Totally not.
We can't always have tracking numbers going for us to feel happiness.
I know. God.
But it's something I think a lot of people deal with.
Yes, I agree. So, Trevin, are we going to do a round of top 5 today?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Top 5.
We are, and you are serving it up hot.
So I'm going to do the top 5 about kind of a terrifying subject.
Okay.
I'm going to be discussing the top 5 animals most likely to hunt humans.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, really great stuff. I got all of this info from Wikipedia, and it was specifically the page for maneater, okay?
And that's not the Hall & Oates song. Or was it, did Britney Spears have a Maneater song too?
Maneater.
Oh, that's Shakira. Make you spend all of your love.
Was that Shakira or was that
Oh, Nelly Furtado.
Nelly Furtado?
Yeah, you're right. It was not Shakira.
No. Yeah, it was Nelly freaking Furtado.
I think that was produced by Timbaland.
I think it was. So, Trevin, do you have any guesses for animals that actively hunt humans?
Tiger.
Okay.
Because I just came across a fact about somewhere in like China, one single tiger killed like 400 people in a city or something.
Whoa.
Yeah. Fuck, I don't know. Maybe I'll just stick with tiger.
Well, that is one of them. So good job. But let's start with number 5 on the list, which is leopards. Man-eating leopards are a small percentage of all leopards, but have undeniably been a menace in some areas. Okay, this is kind of a similar fact to the thing you were saying. One leopard in India killed over 200 people.
Maybe that is the one. I thought it was a tiger though, but yeah, okay.
So leopards is number 5. Now, coming in at number 4 is my mother's favorite animal.
Polar bear.
Polar bears. Yes.
Oh, I should have thought of bears. Yeah, that was obvious.
So polar bears, particularly young and unnourished ones, will hunt people for food. Although bears rarely attack humans, bear attacks often cause devastating injuries due to the size and immense strength of the giant land and shoreline carnivores.
Yikes.
Kind of scary and also really sad that it's the babies, like the unnourished little babies, because I bet you they're fucking so cute.
And that would make it even more scary when it's going after you, trying to eat you.
Like a cute little tiny polar bear, but they're vicious, bro.
Damn.
Number 3, lions. Man-eating lions have been recorded to actively enter human villages at night as well as during the day to acquire prey. This greater assertiveness usually makes man-eating lions easier to dispatch than tigers. Which brings us to the one you got, which is number 2, tigers.
So it's a lot of cat family.
Yes.
See, that's why I didn't give a lot of guesses, because I was like, can I say all the different types of cats?
Tiger, lion. Yeah. Now, there is one coming up at number 1 that
it's
I
Chihuahuas,
think...
I bet.
Chihuahua, how'd you know?
Yeah.
But no, number 2, tigers, okay? Tigers are recorded to have killed more people than any other big cat and have been responsible for more human deaths throughout direct attack than any other wild mammal.
Interesting.
So you were spot on with the tigers.
Mm-hmm.
But when I tell you what number 1 is, you're going to kick yourself. You're going to be like, of course. Number 1, large crocodilians. Crocodile attacks on people are common in places where the crocodiles are native. The saltwater and Nile crocodiles are responsible for more attacks and more deaths than any other wild predator that attacks humans for food.
Yeah, that should have been a lot more obvious for me than it was.
I found all of this to be really terrifying, but also fascinating because you hear of all these animals that, harm humans, right? There's a variety of different types of bears, for instance, or all these other aggressive animals out there like wolves and stuff like that. But when you actually look and you do some research, it's like wolves aren't actively hunting humans.
They're territorial.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these really scary predators aren't actively hunting. The ones that do, it's actually a pretty small list.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I don't really see why they would care to come after a human.
Yeah.
I'm sure we taste like shit. I haven't seen this. Have you seen that new Idris Elba movie, Beast? Have you seen the trailers for that?
No, I've seen the trailers, but I haven't seen it.
I kind of laughed at the trailer because I thought, this is silly. It's like almost a monster movie, but instead of it being a monster, it's just a lion.
A lion, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's terrifying as hell, and I'm sure it's very realistic, but at the same time, it's just a silly idea for a movie to me.
Yeah. I think the thing that made it feel kind of corny to me was how unrelatable that kind of is for someone like me where I live and everything. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about hiding from a lion in my day-to-day life, but if it was a movie about something that was like around me a lot, it would scare me more.
Amazon people.
Like delayed Amazon packages.
Now that I would watch a horror movie, and we would be the people who make something like that.
Oh my God. Let's save that for a rainy day. Not today, but another one.
Well, that was really interesting. And I love that you did the whole actually hunting man thing, because there are tons of animals dangerous to us, but a lot of it's probably because we're dicks who are in their area.
Most of the other creatures are like, you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. But no, these guys are like, where the humans at?
Where the humans at? Well, this is going to be really funny because we actually have a tiny connection between our top fives.
Whoa. Did that get picked up on the mic?
It probably did.
Whoa.
Also, if any of you are noticing weird background noises, it's another stormy day for us for some reason. But it's not a connection in the way that you'd think, especially when I tell you what I'm covering. It's going to really confuse you. So, I once did the 5 most bizarre versions of birth control.
Oh, yeah.
Where we did the different condoms and stuff.
Yes.
I want to do the top 5 most bizarre contraceptives for women.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And now you're thinking, wait, I just did the top 5 most deadly animals. How does that connect?
I know.
We'll get there. I'm actually coming to you from the New York Post and bbc.co.uk. They both had a lot of the same, but I wanted to compile my own list. Emily and I went back and forth on what we thought were the worst, and we compiled our own.
Okay.
So quotes will be taken from both of them, but the order is not.
Okay.
So coming at you with number 5, squatting and sneezing. The ancient Greeks were all but convinced that the move was a foolproof anti-baby technique. The science behind the techniques assumed that jumping up and squatting down straight after sex would stop the sperm from entering the lady's uterus, with a bit of a sneeze to really consolidate things.
How do you make yourself sneeze?
For me, if I have a loose nose hair, I just pull it. But I'm a man, so...
I can say I've never had that happen. I could make myself fake sneeze. I guess maybe that would do it. Achoo!
I mean, that would tense you up, but I mean, that's probably not as good as a real one. Number 4, lemons, or what is also known as Casanova's lemon. This method dates back to the Talmud. Not sure what that is. Women would soak sponges in lemon juice before inserting them into their vagine. The idea was that citric acid had spermicidal properties that would prevent impregnation. Famous Lothario Casanova allegedly inserted the whole rind of a lemon in his lovers as a method of preventing impregnation.
I'm sorry, my face.
So he would actually scoop the pulp out of half of a lemon, and then you just take the whole rind and...
So all of these have been disproved.
Yeah.
Yes? I mean,
I think that was the one where they said that one actually kind of did help.
No way.
Because it almost played as like a diaphragm where it kind of blocked.
Oh my God. Wow.
But I don't think the citric acid really did much. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm not a professional.
You know what? I thought that you were.
So don't get any ideas based off of this.
It sounds like that would burn, though. I don't like it.
I believe, yeah.
Keep lemon juice out of your crotch.
Well, if that's how you feel, you're not going to like the next one.
Oh, God.
Number 3, Coca-Cola.
What?
In the 1950s, the idea spread that the carbonic acid in Coca-Cola killed sperm. The sugar exploded sperm cells, and the carbonation of the drink forced the liquid into the vagine. So it became an after-sex douche. Women would shake up a bottle of Coke, insert, and
No,
let her
they
fly.
didn't.
People in the 50s did. I don't know how many. It probably isn't everybody, but it was a thing people believed.
I'm going to have to ask my grandma about that.
If you do, record it. Number 2, and here's where our connection comes in. Crocodile poop.
Okay.
Ancient Egyptians came up with this method dating back to 1850 BC. Women would stick a ball of crocodile dung and honey inside of themselves, hoping the alkaline qualities would prevent pregnancy. This would serve as a barrier. This concept is loosely based off of the diaphragm, which we still use today.
So poop and honey.
Yeah, and if you remember The Mellified Man, the Egyptians love their honey.
I was going to say, honey is everywhere, but poop, that is really, really unsanitary.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say that crocodile poop is maybe really easy, like it's very clayish maybe, and so they could kind of morph it into however they wanted. That's my guess, but they also talk about the alkaline quality, so maybe they think that alligators are shitting
Gold.
anti-baby gold.
Anti-baby gold. Love it.
And number 1, mercury.
Oh, hell no.
Ancient civilizations enamored with the mysterious metal assigned it healing properties for a variety of ailments. Women in ancient China were told that drinking hot mercury would prevent pregnancy, which is kind of true since drinking mercury can lead to organ failure and death. So those women definitely wouldn't be carrying a child anytime soon. Other different things I found when I was looking this one up, around 900 BC, Chinese birth control experts advised women to swallow 16 tadpoles fried in quicksilver, which is mercury, immediately after sex. So yeah, the women didn't give birth and many became permanently sterile. Other things that came were damage to the liver, kidneys, organ failure, like I said, and of course, death. So that was our number 1.
Haven't women been through enough? Why do we have to eat mercury sardines so we don't birth your child?
Yeah.
Like, what?
We really try some weird things in our history. One runner-up I also had was blacksmith water.
Whoa.
So when a blacksmith would hammer out a hot sword or an axe or something, they would stick it in water, to cool it off real quick. A lot of women would drink that because they thought that the lead in it would help them not get pregnant. And that was back in the ancient Greeks times. But women still believe that all the way up to World War I, where women would ask to work in the factories where there was a lot of lead because they thought that just the secondhand lead exposure would help them with not getting pregnant. Yeah, you're almost just trying to make yourself sterile.
Damn. It was probably insanity out there before actual birth control was created. So I can only imagine the desperation of trying to figure out how to make that not happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, looking back now, all of that just is so harmful and awful.
Yeah, and if I had to venture to guess, when I did that birth control thing for men with the condoms and stuff, those were around in times similar to that too. I think a lot of it just came down to men saying, those suck, I don't want to do it. So I could wear a sheep intestine on my willy, or you could go drink some lead water.
Right.
And I think a lot of these men were probably okay with that.
It'll be fine. Gulp it down.
Yeah. What matters is my comfort.
Ugh. Well, those are really, really crazy, Trevin. Now, I kind of want to take a pause here and maybe introduce you guys to some ads.
Yes.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Have you ever felt like you were at a crossroads in life? Earlier this year, I was dealing with eating issues, which I later found out came from body image issues. I had always known that they were there, but I didn't quite realize just how much. Thanks to therapy and talking through my thought process, I was able to discover and work towards fixing these issues.
Therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life, so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. I know I have personally benefited from therapy, from learning coping skills for anxiety to different communication styles.
Positive coping skills are so important. Therapy isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. We all benefit from speaking to a therapist.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be flexible to your schedule.
Take a short quiz to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/livelaughtoday today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/live-laugh.
Bye.
See ya.
We are back, and it is on to stories, and I'm going first this week.
I'm ready for it. I need a good Amanda story going first.
Then just prepare yourself, because it's coming. And you know what is kind of funny, Trevin? My news story this week kind of ties in with your top 5 a tiny, tiny bit, and you will quickly find out how. But I've never really had that happen before. This is a story from the news, and it's a subject matter that I really wanted to talk about. It's something, as you will find out, that I've personally experienced, and this story was a perfect way for me to discuss it. I know that's something that usually you go through, I feel like. Me, I don't know. It's not really usually the subject matter. Sometimes it's just funny things that I think of. But this one, I was like, ooh, got to do it.
There's just something so magical about seeing a small, stupid, petty crime and saying, what can I learn about the world through this?
Yes.
And I just really like that for some reason.
Yes. And this is definitely that. Okay. So here we go. It is so exciting when a new baby is announced to come into the world. I know for me, when I announced my pregnancies, there were many excited individuals around me.
Oh boy, another kid.
Of course, I had people ask me about my due date or request a belly rub. But there was one question I kept hearing constantly.
Are you having a boy or a girl?
It was quickly made apparent that most people would find it hard to understand that my husband and I decided to keep the genders of our kids a surprise. As we received inquiries like,
Well, what color baby clothes am I supposed to get you?
and
How are you not going absolutely insane, not knowing the baby's true identity?
it was truly a wild experience. I even had random older women trying to guess my baby's gender as I grocery shopped.
Ah, fat ankles. It's definitely a boy, dearie.
Spoiler alert, we had 2 baby girls, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. However, most people go about things differently, finding out their baby's gender as soon as possible. Some even take it a step further, finding out in a large group of people in elaborate ways. These are called gender reveal parties, where loved ones gather around to discover what genitals your unborn child will come out with.
I got $50 on penis.
Parties like this may have raffles or games and usually have a mix of pink and blue party decor. Towards the end of the gathering, the gender is finally revealed to the masses by popping a balloon with colored confetti inside, hitting a ball filled with colored powder, or any other activity involving pops and explosions. This is when the crowd reacts with awe and happiness, occasionally ending with a bitter and sexist dad-to-be if he sees the color pink.
But the world needs more men with my awesome qualities.
It's supposed to be a time of joy and gratefulness. However, not all of these parties end in peace. Today's story is about a gender reveal that left those around shook, and the crimes that later followed. Anthony Spinelli was a 28-year-old future dad living in Kingston, New Hampshire, in 2021. He had recently found out that his wife Cheryl was expecting their first child and couldn't wait until he knew if he was having a boy or not. When Cheryl first brought up the idea of throwing a gender reveal party, Anthony scoffed at the suggestion. But after she explained that he could blow something up, he was fully invested.
Fuck yeah!
He spent countless hours scrolling on YouTube and Pinterest, trying to come up with a mind-blowing way to announce at their party. But none of the ideas he discovered were big enough. Finally, inspiration hit as Anthony thought of a plan, sure to blow all their party guests away. The day of the party came as friends and family of the Spinellis gathered at the local quarry. It was the perfect location, being outdoors, yet private. Games were played, snacks were served, and laughter was had by many. Eventually, it was time for the grand reveal as Anthony and Cheryl took their place in front of the group of anxious guests.
Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the gender of our little peanut.
Cheryl shouted out.
I'm not sure what exactly Anthony came up with for this reveal, but he has told me to warn you all to please step back and plug your ears. So if you'll all join me in a countdown, 3, 2, 1.
It was at that moment a gigantic explosion erupted from the ground below at the quarry. Releasing immense amounts of pressure out into the air, the boom sent chunks of earth flying, and panic to spread throughout the event. Shockwaves rattled the foundation in which guests stood, and didn't stop there. Traveling at rapid speed, cracks in the earth began to spread throughout a 20-mile radius, causing pictures to fall off of nearby home walls and turning tap water a murky brown color. Terror continued to infest nearby communities, leaving its members wondering if this was the end of the world. Back at the quarry, the attendees of the Spinelli gender reveal were left in utter shock.
What just happened?
With their ears ringing and smoke starting to rise into vision, Cheryl collected herself, slowly standing up to face her scared loved ones.
It's a boy!
She stated meekly into the emerging blue, smoke-filled air. On April 20th of 2021, a damaging explosion originated from the Toromeo Quarry near Kingston, New Hampshire. Shockwaves were felt by individuals within a 20-mile radius of the quarry and heard by residents of both New Hampshire and Massachusetts. When authorities investigated the large blast, it was traced back to a gender reveal party hosted by 28-year-old Anthony Spinelli. He admitted responsibility for the detonation, explaining it was generated by 80 pounds of tannerite explosives. Created by a mix of aluminum powder with ammonium nitrate, these explosives are traditionally used for firearm practice. A woman named Sarah, who lived close by to the quarry, was quoted saying,
We heard this god-awful blast. It knocked pictures off of our walls. I'm all up for silliness and whatnot, but that was extreme.
Other residents reported that the explosion caused cracks in the foundations of their homes and turned their tap water brown. Kingston authorities were quoted stating,
We are very thankful no one was injured during the gender reveal incident and sympathetic to the fact that it startled the community.
Anthony pled guilty to disorderly conduct and was ordered to pay a $620 fine. However, according to court records, $500 of that fine would be suspended after 12 months, as long as he could stay out of trouble. P.S. It was a boy. This story wasn't told to discourage people from finding out their future baby's gender or throwing a big old gender reveal party. But I would suggest caution, because ultimately, a healthy baby is all that matters. And there sure as hell is no point in getting arrested over it.
Damn, that's so true. So you said he was just fined? That was it?
Yep, he was just fined.
That is insane, because I would think that an explosion that big, if they could prove that he cracked foundations and stuff, like I'm sure the houses probably have the home insurance for that, but I would still think that if they could prove that he affected in like the water supply,
I know.
I wouldn't have been shocked if that story would have ended with you saying that he registered as a terrorist in some way after that.
No, seriously. That is wild. I mean, this stretched to like multiple states, but everything that I just double checked, I don't see any jail time at all.
Whoa.
I just see a charge for disorderly conduct and a fine. So,
And the fine's not even that big.
no, and $500 of it he's not even going to have to pay for as long as he now don't do any more big explosions, you hear?
Ugh. I mean, you could do something not as bad and you could do it on purpose and it would be more money than that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Some of these crimes, it is really shocking to see what the punishments are sometimes. But yeah, so people reported crack foundations. All of that is totally true. His wife's name wasn't listed. I made up the name Cheryl. Also, it did say in a couple articles that they were having a boy. It took me a while to find that, though. A lot of the articles didn't even talk about the gender, which I found to be very ironic because that's the whole reason they had this big party and did the big explosion. But yeah, it said it was a boy.
That's insane. You know, when those wildfires happened, I was looking back on that. Was that serious or was that a joke? Were there fires started by a gender reveal?
Yes.
There were. Okay.
And in doing the research for this one, yeah, those articles were popping up.
I bet.
There was a gender reveal that caused so much damage, like an unbelievable amount of damage from fires. So yeah, that is 100% true. And it's like, guys, come on. I totally understand finding out the gender. I honestly almost did it with my second one. It was really Jordan who wanted to do it again, where we didn't find out beforehand.
That's surprising. I would have thought that you would have been the one with the secret and Jordan not.
Yeah, no, it was the other way. He was like, come on, we did it once. We can do it again. I was like, meh, okay.
Yeah.
My main thing was I wanted to tell Lila so she was more prepared, but she always knew she was having a sister. Even when I tried to tell her it might be a boy, she was like, nope, it's a sister. And it was.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a boy too.
I even did at one point. So I was a little snarky at the beginning. I'm not judging anyone for finding that out. Most people do. The part where I personally start to be like, is when these parties happen, which again, it's not even the party itself that I'm mad about. I love a good party. I think if you're going to do this with your close friends and family, it's an amazing thing to have a party for. But where it's causing damage, that's obviously a line. And then when people are negatively reacting, when it's not a gender that they want it to be,
Yeah.
that's another thing where I'm a hard pass on both of those things. But if you're a healthy, normal person having a gender reveal, by all means, celebrate, you know?
Yeah, let's just see what it is. I don't
Yeah.
care either way. so-
Exactly. Like I've been to one where somebody just cut a cake and it was blue or pink on the inside. And I think that's really cute and fun. So I'm not dissing on anything like that. I just think people take it to another level. Clearly, what's the point?
Yeah. I do like that you brought that up, that it usually comes down to a pissy dad when it shows pink. I've seen a lot of those on Facebook and stuff where the guy is pissed off when it's pink, and that, I just want to reach through the screen and slap that person in the face so
I
bad.
know. It's honestly offensive. What are you so fucking upset about? Women are actually pretty cool, okay? I don't know. People get it in their mind that they have to have their little boy first so we can protect their little girl. And I'm just here to tell you, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, I really don't care either way too much because
Yeah.
if I'm having a kid, I'm going to shape it after the things I care about. So, you know, but I will say that Emily and I have talked about it before, and I personally would want a girl because
Yeah.
I just love women so much, and I just want to try to help as best as I can and show them that it doesn't have to be the way it is in the world right now. But Emily and I both talked about it, and it's like, with the way that I am, it would almost be better for me to be a boy dad, just so I can teach a boy how to be.
That is the damn truth.
I'm putting that in this conversation now, so when this show's running for like 20 years and we're millionaires and stuff, when I do have my first kid, you all can be like, oh, I remember on episode 124 when you said this.
I
But
know.
that's where I've always felt, because I would be like the only dad who's upset to not see pink. But even if I had a boy, I would be like, okay. I mean, that is like the most poetic thing. I feel like I need to be in charge of raising a son to appreciate women in the right way.
Either way, I would love it, but I could see that. And I think that would be a beautiful thing. I think it was good for Jordan and for me to have the girls that we do. And I love that whole dynamic. But I think whatever happens, it's how your family's going to be. And it's going to be totally great. So
Yeah.
to find out that people are just blowing shit up over it, it's really...
It's always an explosion, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I know. Cut a cake. Do something peaceful.
Yeah, I saw some people did like a Royals one as a baseball one. And so when the dad hit a baseball, when they hit the baseball, exploded the color.
Yeah.
That's still an explosion on a small scale.
It
but
is.
everything has to have a boom factor.
I've seen videos where someone gets hit with the baseball too during those.
And I've seen pinatas.
Yeah, there's a lot of accidental and aggressive things that can happen.
You know, Emily loves throwing parties like you do too.
Yeah.
I think what we might do, if and when it happens,
Yeah.
I will let Emily throw a party for gender reveal, and we'll just fill an explosive thing up with the color green. And then we'll just say, hey guys, I don't know what it is, but my favorite color is green.
It's an alien.
Yay. Because I also don't like that blue and pink have to be gender colors.
I hate it, obviously, too, because blue and teal, that's my favorite color. So it's like, why does that have to represent something that isn't me?
Yeah, and why can't I just, well, I can, and I might.
Yeah.
But why can't you just, I want to have a child's room that's green. A green one is just like, anything
Yeah.
can go in this room.
Yeah, that's
The green M&M's a woman.
Winnie's room is a light green.
Yeah.
When they get older, Lila, before she was born, we painted her room tan with a big, cool mural on the wall. And when she got older, she wanted pink walls. So we repainted. You know, people, it's so simple, really.
Yeah, when the kid can make their own decision, let him make it.
Yep.
Well, that was great. And I like that. I can already imagine the sound effects in my head, just a low rumble of almost like a earthquake and earth spreading sort of a sound. Because the way you explained it made it sound very big and epic. So that will be fun. That's something we've never done.
I was actually making myself laugh with how dramatic reading it out loud sounded. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, it's very possible that there are some of these victims with the cracked foundation that are probably very resentful and still very pissed off about what you're talking about.
I would be.
I would be too. Well, keep an ear out for some connections. This might be one of those babies where we're connecting with non-story stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because our top 5's connected and then my top 5 connect to your story, but we'll see if we can find a connection in my story here.
Huh.
So this week, I am taking us on a fun, bizarre story from 2022. We're going to take a little trip.
Okay.
So pack your bags and enjoy the journey. And here we go. I think it's safe to say that we all have idols. Whether it be role models in life, legends you've only come to know through story, or celebrities that have some special traits that really inspire you. It's nice to have this idea of a person, because it gives you something to strive for and can lead you to finding those qualities in yourself. Of course, it's all bullshit. But it's good to have. I say this because our ideas of these idols are simply just that, ideas. You will never see the full picture of another human being like you do yourself. For every candid paparazzi photo of your favorite celebrity looking glamorous,
Look over here. Oh yeah.
there will always be a week where your acne is completely out of control.
Oh, hell no!
It doesn't take much irrational processing for your brain to assume that the celebrity always looks flawless, while you, well, you're just a disgusting troll covered in pus. Again, this is all bullshit. Let's take one of the most beautiful goddesses of our modern age, J-Lo. She's always looking fabulous. She's talented, and she's one of the few people whose name instantly makes you think of a butt. How many people in the world can you say their name and you think of a butt and it'd be a good thing? That alone is impressive. Anyway, J-Lo's butt is literally insured for $28 million. Her ass is an asset. She shakes it for live performances, she accentuates it in her casual attire, and I assume she probably has some kind of clause in her contracts that it gets a couple close-ups when she's in movies. Yes, she puts in the work and looks great, but I doubt she's perfect. We only see her appearances when she knows there's a good chance she'll be photographed. I bet there have been plenty of mornings in J-Lo's life where she's gotten up from a restful night's sleep, walked over to her 24-karat booty mirror, and looked back to find a giant pimple right on her butt cheek. I know what you're thinking.
But Trevin, you don't have proof of that. You can't comfort me with lies about celebrity butt pimples. She may very well be perfect and you're just smug.
And you would be right. I did make that up. But one thing that I know without a doubt to be true, that butt makes poop. So while she's rocking a fart factory insured at $28 million, it's very safe to assume that statistically speaking, it's had some bad days. My point in all of this is that we perpetuate these lies of perfection in the way that we idealize these people. And although I choose to use a rump as my example, this goes much further than just body image. When we idolize someone, we can take any bit about their personality or appearance and put it on an untouchable pedestal of perfection. I admire how Patrick Mahomes stays focused under pressure. I love seeing movies starring Robert Pattinson. And I too have podcasts that I feel like the hosts are my best friends. But none of these three examples are always flawless at what they do. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes has slipped up and said the wrong thing to his wife before. Robert Pattinson was in the Twilight movies. And yes, some podcasters are only super nice behind a mic. But not me. I'm a saint 100% of the time. So what happens when you meet one of these idols? Imagine encountering your biggest celebrity crush and they smell like rotten eggs. Or your favorite podcaster talks to you online only to run away from you in person.
I'm antisocial.
Coming face to face with one of these figures is one of the quickest ways to shatter your illusion. Today, we will be putting ourselves directly into the shoes of a fan and seeing just how painful expectations can be. So sit back and try to learn a thing or two, because no human is worthy of the praise we give them. George was an American man on a quest for knowledge. Currently living in Egypt, he spent a lot of his time taking in the sights of his current home and learning all he can about its rich history.
Interesting.
Throughout his 65 years on this earth, George had packed his brain with fun facts, deep experiences, and views that no camera could fully capture. Anytime he wanted to expand his mind a little further, he would just pack up and go live in that place for a while. He led a very storied life. One could even say that he was living his best life. But like most people who do interesting things, there was that one interest that really eluded him. For as long as George could remember, he had a deep love and fascination for the Roman Catholic Church. The art, the history, and the robes, it all really spoke to him. No matter what your interest, the Roman Catholic Church had a little something for everybody, according to George. Every Sunday, George would travel to a different Catholic church just to take in the beauty of different stained glass windows and to get his exercise from kneeling and standing continuously.
May all rise? Okay, now be seated.
George wasn't even all that religious. He just really dug those 4th century Roman Catholic vibes. During his morning runs, he would listen to organ hymns full blast. And his favorite quick snack was communion wafers and queso. No matter what he did, a little bit of his fandom followed. Although George was a known traveler, out to view the world, he never once tried living in Rome or anywhere near the Vatican. To George, a summer in Canada or a few years in Egypt was easy, but he hadn't quite earned the privilege of being in the presence of Vatican-City. That was especially true after Pope Francis took the papal throne. When the Argentine Jorge Bergoglio became Pope Francis in 2013, everything changed for George. Not only did a man with the same name as him get to be the head of the Roman Catholic Church, but they couldn't have picked a better figurehead. The dude was an absolute pimp. He kicked the devil's ass, looked good in white, and saved countless amounts of souls, all with just one lung. The second George saw Pope Francis whipping out scripture like Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, he knew that he had found his idol.
Holy shit.
It wasn't until 2022, 9 years after Pope Francis rose to power, that George finally got the nerve to visit Vatican City. As he got off his plane at the Rome Ciampino airport, he instantly felt a sense of relief. This is where he was supposed to be. Just 10 miles from Vatican City itself, George took a deep breath, imagining that some of the air he was breathing was air that could have touched Pope Francis. George took a taxi to his Vatican hotel and began to unpack. He laid out his holographic Pope Francis fan club t-shirts and all of his journals of Pope Francis thoughts. I really need to make a good impression, he said to himself, looking in the mirror and trimming up his 5 o'clock shadow. George nervously shaped his facial hair while playing out the scenario in his head. He imagined slowly approaching the statue of Augustus, taking in its expert craftsmanship, as a man quietly joined him and began to speak. "Augustus was one of my favorites here, my son," the man said as George looked over.
Oh my gosh, you're...
George said, before being cut off by the man. "Yes, it is I, trained chemist and ex-tango dancer Pope Francis. I know what you've been searching for, George. You follow me on Facebook. You're a special boy. How about you join me in my popely quarters for some communion wafers and queso?" the man said, as George wrapped his arms around the holy man and began to cry.
This is the best day of my life!
George gushed at the exciting hypothetical of meeting his idol, while putting his shaver down and heading out the door. As he walked down the brick streets around the beautiful Vatican buildings, George was in awe. There were so many people walking around and taking in the very same views, but George paid them no mind. "Ha! Posers," George said under his breath. "None of these people are true fans of Francis like I am." Making his way into the Museo Scaramanti, one of the museums near the Vatican palaces, George's eyes were permanently stuck open. So much beautiful and ancient art lined the walls, but in the back of his mind, his hopes were still up for seeing Pope Francis. Every time he turned a new corner in the museum, he held his breath in anticipation, and every time he entered a new corridor, he was disappointed. Each area housed more and more beautiful art and sweaty tourists, but no Pope Francis. George went on for a few more hours, circling the area and popping around corners, hoping to have the meet cute of his dreams with Pope Francis. But still, there was nothing. He was considering giving up, but he didn't travel almost 1,500 miles to not meet his hero. With his original plan abandoned, George made his way to the nearby front desk worker. "Excuse me, I'm here to see Pope Francis," George said, with the confidence of a middle-aged white man in America. The woman began to chuckle to herself, before gathering her composure and responding.
What can I really do for you, sir?
The woman asked nicely. George felt disrespected as he reiterated, "I'm here to see Pope Francis. I follow him on Facebook. I just want to thank him for saving my life." Realizing that this was in fact a serious request, the woman straightened up her demeanor and delivered the bad news.
"Sir, Pope Francis does not take meetings with tourists. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you."
George began to argue his case before the woman looked past him and waved someone else forward to help them.
I can help whoever's next.
In that moment, he felt the slow crush of defeat travel down his entire body. His every thought and belief about Pope Francis was now in question. Was Pope Francis really not as welcoming as George had once believed? Here George was, standing in Vatican-City and losing faith in his idol. His anxiety grew so strongly that he began to hear its low hum building within himself, like the furnace of a century-old home. Sweat began to bead on his forehead, as it all began to be too much. "I said I want to meet the fucking Pope!" George yelled, as he ran to the nearest wall, grabbed an ancient Roman sculpture, and began to pull on it. A few quick tugs, and the sculpture popped off the shelf. George looked into the eyes of the stone-sculpted man and began to speak. "I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but your Pope sits on a throne of lies. I'm doing you a favor." With nothing else to lose, George lifted the statue above his head and slammed it to the ground. As he watched the pieces of the stone bounce and slide around the museum floor, he noticed a team of security guards running his way. Attempting to make a quick escape, he turned the other direction and ran into a different sculpture, causing that one to also crash into the ground. The stumble from the statue was enough to slow George down, allowing the security team to grab him and detain him for the Italian authorities. In October of 2022, a 65-year-old unnamed American tourist was arrested in the Vatican-City Museum, Museo Scaramanti, after slamming a 2,000-year-old sculpture on the ground. According to Adden Kronos, an Italian news agency in Rome, the man was aggravated after being denied a meeting with Pope Francis by museum staff. In an attempt to flee from the security guards, the unnamed man ran into a second 2,000-year-old sculpture, causing it to also break on the ground. The tourist was then caught and later handed over to the Italian authorities, where he faced multiple charges, including aggravated damage. Director of the press office for Vatican Museums, Matteo Alessandrini, told CNN, "The two busts have been damaged, but not particularly badly. One lost part of a nose and an ear. The head of the other came off the pedestal." According to the Italian news agency, Repairs on the pieces would cost around $14,800 US and would take over 300 hours of labor to complete. It was also stated that although both pieces were around 2,000 years old, they were considered to be secondary pieces for the museum. Gotta love a good old international crime. And I can't help but notice how classy the Vatican was at handling the whole thing. This dude comes in, demands a meeting with the Pope, smashes a couple of 2,000-year-old sculptures, and you don't release his name? That's class if I've ever seen it. If any of you out there have an unhealthy attachment to, or view of, a celebrity, I hope this story can help you raise awareness of it. It's not good to have an unhealthy attachment to anything. But come on, if you're getting attached to a human, you're setting yourself up for failure. We humans are all flawed, and the last thing you want to do is count on one you don't even know. For me, I find it's best to idolize and look up to qualities in people over the actual people themselves. It makes it a lot easier to write them off when they turn out to be dickheads. But if you want something more quotable and worthy of Instagram, maybe you should just go with the classic from Drew Goddard. It's so rare that you meet your idols and they outdo your expectations.
Man, he really thought it would be that easy to just walk up in there and speak to the Pope privately?
Yeah, that's the thing that blew my mind too. Obviously, I don't know the guy's backstory, but the Vatican-City has a bunch of museums and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know it's close to the palaces. I don't even know if the Pope lives in that palace, even though he may work out of it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But to go into the museum and ask the museum staff, hey, I'd like to meet with the Pope, that's just silly. He probably totally generalized that the Pope is within every Vatican building. I don't know.
Yeah, people have weird expectations sometimes, and things get built up in their own mind. But that is pretty damn delusional.
Yeah, it makes me think of going to a gas station in Hollywood and being like, where's Tom Cruise? And
Yeah,
be
it's like, yeah, what do you want from me? Very bizarre. And also, this person kind of lucked out that their name wasn't leaked.
Yeah, they never said what he got charged with. They just said what it cost. I was reading some interesting things about the Vatican City. It's actually the smallest country in the world because it's technically a country within Rome. It's its own country. It's also like the only country that's within another country, which is weird. They don't have jails. They have a holding cell, but the second something happens, they just hand them over to Italian authorities. And it's a hotbed of crime. It's the smallest country. You can walk across it in like an hour, but apparently there's just a bunch of tourists and stuff, and somebody's pickpocketed like every hour or some shit. Like they said, it's like a crazy amount. So they have a lot of crime and they don't even jail them. They just hand you off to other authorities.
Wow. I have heard that a lot of crimes happen over there, but I didn't know all of that information. Wow.
There's the whole circular Vatican area, and it's always just packed with people trying to walk from one end to the other. It almost looks like in New York where it's like shoulder to shoulder in movies, but it's just like a quiet place where there's no car traffic. It's just a bunch of foot traffic. So I could see it being big for pickpockets and stuff.
Pickpocket's dream.
But it's also a very religious city.
Isn't that ironic?
Isn't it ironic?
Oh, man. Yeah, I was wondering if he was also charged with disorderly conduct or not, but didn't really get into all of that.
I looked all over, and that's all I could ever find.
Huh, God. And of course he had to be from the U.S. Gosh dang it.
Stupid American.
Oh, another weird American.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Connections, things didn't go to plan on either, and they ended with property being destroyed. That's a very vague thing. But I personally can't believe the 2,000-year-old statues that were destroyed over this guy's delusion.
Yeah, I know that they said they were secondary pieces, but it's still 2,000-year-old art.
They're like, nah, that's just the secondhand stuff. Damn, what kind of stuff you got then?
They got some good stuff. If we had one of those secondary pieces in America, we would have a museum built just to show that one off.
I know. They're like, 2,000, whatever.
Yeah. Have you seen our whole city? Come on. The whole thing is a sculpture.
Right. But that's really the main connections I can think of. If there's anything more specific I'm not thinking of, I mean...
The only thing I thought when reading it, which is kind of a stretch because it's going to be more production based, is I remember when I was writing that story, I was talking about the low hum of anxiety that built in him. And I was already deciding that I was going to do like a low rumble in your story.
Yeah.
So we're going to have some pretty...
And I said ringing in their ears in mine.
Yeah, like sort of earth-shaking emotions and stuff like that. But also, like I said, I really just like our top 5's connected, and then
Yeah.
my top 5 connected with your story.
Yeah.
So
What
gender
the
reveals
hell?
and crocodiles and the croc connection. I don't even know.
It's all over the place, but that's what makes it a Live, Laugh, Larceny episode.
That's right. Too many things.
Well, I hope everyone is just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crimes, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to stick with only current birth control
Methods.
methods.
Yes, current birth control methods only, please. Bye.
See ya.
For those of you out there who have a delayed Amazon package, my heart is with you. And thanks for listening to our show.
And if you work with a really problematic coworker, follow us on social media: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever attended an explosive gender reveal party, please send us your story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give our show 5 stars wherever you rate podcasts: Spotify, Apple, or Good Pods. Give us a better review than you would review all of these birth control methods.
We are very thankful no one was injured during the gender reveal incident.
You said Jindal.
Jindal? Oh, fuck.